What's up, Blade fam? Today we're going to be learning how to do a front Savanah. A prerequisite to doing this trick is knowing how to do a front Farfignugan or an Alleyoop star grind. Having a good foundation in those two grinds will really help you unlock the front Savanah. Something that we're going to be focusing on, particularly in this tutorial, is the ability to rewind the hips in this trick. So coming out of this trick with a forward out landing. If you'd like to learn to do that, stay tuned. We're going to get into the breakdown of this trick starting now. So let's break down what a front Savanah or an Alleyoop unity is. Now, that whole discussion between front Savanah and Alleyoop unity, we're not even going to touch. If you'd like to hear a nice breakdown or a discussion on that video, check out Rolling Minnesota. He has a great video on this subject. For now, what we're going to be talking about is the two tricks that lead up to learning how to front Savanah. So when learning this trick, a front farf is performed like this. An Alleyoop star grind is performed like this. Those two tricks put together kind of become a front Savanah. So the front foot is like the back foot of a star grind, a backslide, and the back foot is the front torque from a farf grind. So when you put those two together, a front torque and a backslide wrapping around the torque, you get a front Savanah. Now the secret to this trick, or the thing that I like about this trick particularly the most, is having the ability to wrap the leg around and come back out forward. Now, depending on how you look at this trick, it will determine how you come out of the trick. So if you look at a front Savanah, which I first started as looking at it as a Alleyoop star grind just with a torque foot in the back. So when I would do it, I would think jump up, wrap this foot like an Alleyoop star grind, which would load me to come out this way for a 270 or a 3 out. But what I discovered along the way in trying to figure out how to come out forward was this preloading twist in the hips in performing this trick. So as you're performing this, what you want to know how to do is pop above your obstacle. So you're going to have your arms here, you're going to pop. As you're coming out for your balance points in your hands, you're going to tilt back this way. So in motion, as you're popping, your hips are going this way, but your shoulders are countering and going that way. Now this trick becomes very safe because you can see where you're riding, one, and two, you are now able to come out forward, which just looks so good. It kind of shows another level of mastery or an understanding about how to come in and out of tricks based off of control in your rotation. So I hope that breakdown kind of makes sense to you. Leave a comment below if it does or if it doesn't. So before we actually get into doing the front Savanah, let's go ahead and just practice doing the front Farfignugan. You're gonna set up by rolling up at a nice angle. Now instead of just focusing on the jump into the grind, I want you to start paying attention or putting attention into doing a counter before you jump into that direction. What that's gonna do is it's gonna load your hips so your energy in your motion of jumping is kind of out here rather than dead on and over. So we're gonna go coming up, coming out. After you've done that 5, 10, 15, 20 times, however many times it takes for you to feel consistent in it, now we're going to perform an Alleyoop star grind. You're going to come up, same thing. Instead of just jumping into the grind, you're going to have a preloaded counter into that rotation. You see how I'm ready to come back the way I rotated? And it's because as I'm approaching, I have that motion unlocks and stops here rather than continuing that motion for that rotation. Perform that again 5 to 10 times. going to be doing a tutorial on how to do the star grind and what's the difference between a star grind and a sidewalk grind. Leave a comment below if you know what the difference is. And after you've done that, you're now ready to perhaps start trying a front Savanah. Remember to square up. You're going to bring your hand back and jump. When you're first performing it, it is okay to have that rotation and continue coming out, whether you land fakie or forward. You can 270 out that way. You can even 450 out that rotation. Okay, so now that you've practiced the lock on, the jump in, and you're bringing your awareness to this counter rotation before you're going into the lock, you're now ready to slide it. As you're sliding it, just take your time. This trick tends to be a little sketchy if you do a torque and wrap. Now you're creating two different points of contact as you're jumping in, rather than jumping above your obstacle, wrapping and landing into the Savanah. That way you're performing that trick and having one point of lock, and it's a lot more in control than doing torque wrapping the star. I'm one of those guys that will just push the limits. Still need wax. So as you're sliding along, a quick tip if you're trying to get the forward out on this, or that rewind out, is to, as you're sliding, even if you land fakie, keep looking over your right. Because eventually, as this arm opens up, your head's already there, your shoulder's already there. Now you just need to snap the knees and the hips over, and the feet will follow. So when you really start getting the rewind out, you can put that downward pressure and you feel it, that timing, you can generate quite a pop out of it too, which gives it even more style points. It shows a control going in, a control while you're sliding, and big pop and control at the end. Let's go ahead and do a couple to the other direction. So if you're still learning this trick, work on just getting the Savanah locked, slid, and however you feel comfortable coming out, that's great. Really focus on just trying to get the feet to land at the same time. When I first started performing this trick, I learned it from front full torque to wraparound Savanah. Show you real quick. Because I learned it that way, it taught me to kind of do it 1-2. I mean, that switch up in and of itself will teach you how it feels to slide out of the Savanah. You can go ahead and practice that too. But when you're performing this trick and it starts getting on higher obstacles or more down obstacles, it's very important to understand how to get up above your obstacle and land with both feet same time. So really try to pay attention to that. Let's go ahead and spin out the opposite direction. So you can see that when you're coming out the opposite direction, because you're wrapped, you're already in that rotation. So that's your natural way of coming out of that trick, whether it's landing fakie or 270 to the forward. But as you're sliding this, you'll begin to understand how complex it can be to come out forward the opposite direction. That's just, again, understanding that when you lock the trick, to keep your hand, this hand, pull back slightly so you're on this side of the line if you want to come out forward, rewind out. If you want to come out the opposite, allow it to turn, and now you got power to generate in the opposite direction. Okay, so on the other direction. The other direction I am still personally working on. That would be a switch front Savanah approaching from this side of the obstacle. Now it changes, because now it's switch. So you got to kind of like scramble up your brain and think about how this trick could still be. Again, it's still similar to an Alleyoop star grind. I can perform that trick switch. So in the idea, this whole should be the same. We're very similar. So I'm going to practice a couple stalls. Getting that targeting in. You can see that my left foot, I don't really have a strong left-footed torque. So it still has room for improvement, room for growth, really. And that's what's cool about it. Mastering a trick in one direction is awesome, but you still have the opposite direction, and that's what this is all about. Balance and symmetry, and I'm still working on it. Let's try and get one where it actually slides and see if I can get out. Tricked you, that was a unity. So there we have the front Savanah. Kinda switching regular. I wouldn't really count my switch yet. Like I said, that's room for growth, room for improvement. If you already have mastered the front Savanah, you can go ahead and take it to the next level, which is coming out forward out on that rewind. And if you've mastered that, well, looks like you're ready for switch front Savanahs and continue growing. Hope you guys found these tips useful. Again, this is a little bit more of an intellectual process when you start breaking down these rewinds and how to get out of these tricks, but it leads to that progression. That next level unlock is really here, of course here, and training for it. You know, practice. Thank you guys again for all of the love and support. If you guys haven't already, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down there, and stay tuned. Our next video we're going to be putting out should be something for beginners, working on how to drop in fakie, or how to drop into banks and quarter pipes rolling backwards. Thank you guys again. Much love. Keep the blade alive. Aloha.